Slab all stars, baby.
Welcome to the Relapse and Recovery Chronicles / the Weight Release Chronicles. We're gonna do 2 in 1 a day. The visit went great. Here's some footage of that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trinity. Happy birthday to you. How old are you?
King already, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. My body, soul, got a king body. Body gon' shine, bling bling body. Calling all the shots, ring body. Crown on your head, got a king body. Don't live a king, you a king, you know it. King already, my baby, you know it. Top everything, you know it. King already, you know it. Shine already, it's time already. Align already, it's time already. Shine already, it's time already.
Girl, I ain't recording.
It's time already.
Try to stop it, me say no, no, no. Royalty say don't you, no, no, no. Try to stop it, me say go, 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 go. Bubble up and watch it go, 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 go. Be ruler, yeah. Everybody are the conquer, yeah. Every king be stronger, yeah. King the rule them longer, yeah. Remember who you are, oh. Real king always be no. Give up, be brave, oh. And show your people my love. It's like my
Now, outside of the footage that you just got of me and my children doing our visit or whatever, that was beautiful. I was super excited, grateful, ready to get my kids back into my care. I've done everything that I needed to do in order to make that happen, and you guys have watched the whole journey, basically, you know, from A to Z, from me first getting out of rehab to me trying to find a job to me finding a bunch of jobs and leaving them until, you know, I found one that I was settled in, and then you guys went along for the journey with me buying my car, my first car, me getting this car, and now I'm getting ready to settle into my very first apartment. Later on, the next video after this, I will be talking about the 5 reasons why you probably shouldn't get into a relationship early on, who are dealing with parents whom are addicts and parents who have children that are addicts and parents that are addicts. I guess I want to speak from the perspective of me being a child of an addict and me having children and me being the parent as an addict. I think that's how I want to talk about this. But first, I'm going to talk about my weight release. That's going good. Like I said, I lost 3 pounds. Going into next week, what I probably am going to do, though, is implement my exercise a little bit more, watch my calories, and start paying attention to my macros. If you don't know what all that is, I suggest you start doing what I did, and that's researching. I should probably start seeing results at the end of this 3 months. So I'm going to upload some of my progress pictures, not this week because there wasn't too much progress to be made, but maybe next week. And this week I'll take pictures of what the scale says and then upload them next week so you can see how much I've lost since I started, which was at 197, to right now, which is 193. And going towards the end, I'm trying to weigh what was I saying? 177. You know, I'm trying to lose 20 pounds within 3 months. And a little bit of background, I didn't know who my dad really was until I was about 11 years old. My stepdad had raised me all my life up until I was 8, and he passed away. So 3 years after he passed away, I found out that my real father was still alive. Now, I had met the man way before she told me who he was, but I was so young I didn't remember, and I didn't know that that's what was going on. I just thought he was some dude. Turns out I had met my little brother too and didn't know who that was either. But he suffers from addiction. My dad suffered from addiction, and while I was going through my 2 years of relapse, he was sober. Now, it saddened me, but I can remember telling him when I was in my addiction and he would come out and find me and try to treat me funny, like, say, man, Don't do me like that, because at the end of the day, I didn't judge you when you were in your addiction, and I still treated you the same when you were in your addiction. I didn't look at you no different when you were in your addiction. You had never stole anything from me. You had never done anything to me. I never saw you do drugs, so I couldn't treat you like a dope fiend. I couldn't treat you like a drug addict. All I knew was that you would come in and come out, and that was something that was I can't say normal, but it didn't move me because you weren't in my life like that. But at the same time, you're my father, so I'm going to show you a certain due amount of respect. So me finding out that he relapsed, I found out the day that I was getting ready to leave rehab. I found out the day that I was getting ready to leave rehab that he had relapsed, because he kept asking me for money, and I was just like, yo, bro, I'm not giving you no money, man. I'm trying to buy me a car. I got to get my little girl from out the care of this dummy that got her. I got something in my eye. I have to get my little girl out the care of this dummy that got her. So I can't really give you no money, but at the end of the day, I used to always be able to ask my dad for money when I was in my addiction, and he would always give it to me. Now, mind you, he would talk shit and try to play that role with me, like to say you were better, but at the end of the day, you out of everybody else in this motherfucking family should be the last person to judge me, because first of all, I am your child. Second of all, I had a predisposition to be addicted to drugs because of you. So you're not gonna be the one to judge me or look at me sideways, knowing that you still fight the same fight that I fight. And I say, if your ass relapse today or tomorrow, understand this: I'm not gonna treat you no different than who you are based on what you do. No, that's not what I'm gonna do. Because if you've never done wrong to me while you were in your addiction, so I find myself in this position again, you know, where he's back out using, and I didn't give him the money because I had something to do with my money, and I would have if I could have, but I couldn't. And all I can remember is that conversation that we had where I had to chop him up a little bit, like, say, watch how you handle me. Just because I'm in my addiction don't mean you can handle me the way you want to handle me. You can't. And capping like drugs are okay and doing it in their face. I stay the fuck away from my family with in my addiction, and that's kind of what he does too. So for the most part, I can respect him because I've never seen him in his bag. All I know is they've told me. All I know is what they told me. And so, and what I know is because he be in and out of jail, but, like me. But, so to know that, he has relapsed. Oh, so I'm missing a part. He came out of, rehab maybe 2 months after I came out of rehab. So I came out and he went in. I came out, he went in, and then he came out. And we spoke for a little bit, and then he just stopped reaching out to me, and I kind of figured he was still struggling or whatever, and so I didn't really make too much of a push to communicate with him properly like I should have, in order for him to know he had a support system. But it turns out that if he did go to rehab, he has relapsed immediately, because one of my family members called and told me, well, didn't call, they sent me a message and said, you know, your dad maybe relapsed again, he was doing so well, and yada yada yada. And so I just decided to send him a little money, because I understand what that addiction is, I understand what it does, and at the end of the day, he's still my dad. No, I'm not gonna let him use me. No, I'm not gonna let him abuse me. No, there will be no misusing my kindness for weakness. That's not how this gonna work, but I understand. And I guess my advice for anybody who struggles with a parent that is going in and out of addiction is to make sure that you keep your guards up and love them from a distance, but make sure that you keep in mind that that is still your parent, and that they still deserve love and respect. And if they shall decide to want to change their life, if you are able to help them, if you're able to be a cornerstone in their life to where they can lean on you, a pillar, then let that be that, you know, because everybody needs somebody. This is not an easy thing to do. Recovering from drugs is not an easy thing to do. The process is not easy, and to know that you don't have anybody makes it a whole lot harder. So when you know that you have people that's in your corner that's willing to fight for you and fight with you, it makes coming in a lot easier. And I can imagine that he's ignoring my phone calls right now because he is in a lot of shame. Now, I told y'all how I feel about motherfucking shame, Don't bring that bullshit my way. I am not ashamed of a bitch ass thing that I've done. I feel a little guilty. I feel guilty because some of the consequences and repercussions that came about with my decision hurt my children. But I don't give a fuck about what none of you grown motherfuckers think. You better live your life and leave mine out of it. You hear me? If you feel like you disagree with what I'm doing, don't do it. Period. Let me be a lesson for you. Period. But I'm not supposed to be ashamed, because shame is me worrying about what the fuck you think too much, to the point where I can't even come in from the addiction because I'm just that goddamn ashamed about what the fuck you may think. I don't give a fuck about what you think. And if my daddy happened to see this, you better not give a fuck about what none of the motherfucking people think. You better bring your ass on in. That's what you better do. That's what the fuck you need to do. Now, guilty is how you should feel. Of course you should feel guilty. That means you got a conscience. That means that you know that you could do better. Period. You understand? But all that old shame and guilt, oh, fuck all that. Ain't nobody trying to deal with that shit. That shit, that is toxic. That shit, that you should be ashamed of yourself. No, you should be ashamed of yourself for telling me I should be ashamed of myself, motherfucker. So, sorry about that little rant tangent. But, in dealing with my dad going through addiction and me now knowing what that is and how that feels, it's hard for me to hold a grudge with him. You know, I can imagine my other siblings are still pissed off with him about it. Some of the absences that he's had in our lives, but I'm not upset at all because I truly understand. I truly understand. And so it makes it really hard for me to be upset with them. And it's kind of like a child's love. It's not like that adult resentment that grows when you're a child, that grows as you're an adult into hate. I can't even get there because I truly understand what the process is, what that pain is like, and what that drug really does to you. I understand addiction a whole lot better now, to the point where I can't be upset with him, and I can just only hope that my other siblings choose to forgive him too. Now, with my children, they're still babies, so they love me no matter what. Mind you, like I said with him, he never done drugs in front of me. I've never done drugs in front of my children. I've never brought my children around drugs. My children never seen me do drugs. They know about the drug habit because I told them, because I needed them to know the truth about why my absence was the way that it was, why I was so absent in their lives. I wanted them to understand and know the truth so that they had a good understanding of what it was. And when they got to a point in their life when they had to make a decision between drugs or loving their children and living their lives, they'd understand that they didn't want to put their kids through that kind of pain. You understand what I'm saying? And at the same time, I still made the decision to leave my children, but I snapped back a whole lot quicker because I remember the pain that not having my parents around caused me. And I damn sure don't want to take my kids through that. I damn sure, and even if I've already put them through it, they don't need to go through it for no ever. For no ever. They're not going to go through it their whole childhood, their whole lives. I will have my children back with me by the end of April. Understand that. I am done with my family plan, and the need and the want for me to accomplish that comes from me understanding what it is to have a parent in addiction. So I guess my best advice is to just, hold on, push through, pray for them, keep them in your prayers, and make sure you keep them in mind. Always remind them that they're loved, that they're still cared for. And I'm not telling you to be a punching bag. I'm not telling you to put yourself in a position to be abused, used. But I am telling you to put yourself in a position to be of help, and be of assistance if you can be of assistance. If a motherfucker don't want no help now, I'm not telling you to try to help a motherfucker that don't want no help, because at the end of the day, you can't do recovery for nobody but yourself. You know what I'm saying? A motherfucker, you cannot do recovery for nobody but yourself. Recovery comes from within. That's some I gotta do that by myself type shit. But I still need help, assistance, support. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to be able to do that for somebody else, especially my parent. You know, especially my father. If it was my mom, especially my mom, you know, I couldn't imagine me not wanting to be a support system for the two of those people who have been a support system for me, you know, through my ups and my downs. So, and I just don't want to take my children through that. So as a parent that's an addict, and being in recovery at this point, I just don't want to put my kids through that, especially not while they're babies. You know, I think it's a different tone when you have children that are adults that probably have seen you go through it all of their lives. There's a different ring to that. But I definitely don't want to put my kids through that, to where they're seeing me go through this all their lives. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely don't want them to get grown and then all of a sudden I just decide to slip off. But I think it's just different when your kids are older and you all of a sudden slip off after a long time. It comes as a shock, a surprise, and it's like they probably get you stunned. You don't know what to do. But I'm just here to tell you, as a parent that has an addiction and that has children, that has a parent that has an addiction, and I'm his child, love conquers all, you know. Support and forgiveness. Those three things are key. Love, support, and forgiveness. And I think that's going to be my message for today. I think I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about in this video. Y'all see how the look came out. I got this air on, so it's missing in my little curves. But I did this shit myself, y'all, boo-boo. Yes, boo-boo. I'm a fool with that motherfucking flat iron, boo-boo. Yes, baby. Yes. Now, I didn't do the clipping part. I did not cut this hair myself. But I'm a fool with the motherfucker. I'm a fool with the motherfucker flat iron. This has been the Relapse and Recovery Chronicles / did I say that right? The Relapse and Recovery Chronicles, the Recovery and Relapse Chronicles, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and the Weight Release Chronicles. Wait. Let me start it over. The Relapse and Recovery Chronicles, the Recovery and Relapse Chronicles, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and the Weight Release Chronicles, all in one wow. Also, little tad bits of, you know, footage of me and my kids at the birthday party. Yay! I'll be coming back a little bit later on with a video about the 5 reasons as to why you should probably stay away from relationships. Your first year of recovery. Your first year of recovery, you should probably stay away from relationships. That's just a suggestion, though. You can do what the fuck you want to do. That's all a motherfucker can do for you at this point in time in your life, is give you suggestions at this point. So, this has been your girl, Irose from the Concrete. I'll holler at y'all. See you later.